I don't know why I would have this up. I don't know what the hell to do with it anyway.
Order dated March 17, 2020, the City Council is authorized to hold public meetings via teleconferencing and to make accessible electronically to all members of the public seeking to observe and to address this legislative body. All Brown Act provisions that require the physical presence of city councilmen or the public for city council meetings are waived. Public agenda package is available for review at the city's website. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's meeting, Councilman Ebner will be joining us by teleconferencing. Madam Secretary, would you read the roll?
Councilmember Bertone?
Here.
Councilmember Ebner?
Here.
Councilmember Weber?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Viana?
Here.
Mayor Badar?
Here.
Let the record show all council members are in attendance.
The first item tonight will be recognition for Principal of Lone Hill High School, Mr. Jason Koss. The proclamation has been prepared and will be read by the city clerk. I'm sorry.
Jason Koss, father, principal, husband. Mr. Koss, a lifelong public servant, started his career as a Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff. He later taught at Shell Elementary for 6 years, from 2007 to 2013, and spent a year with Chino Hills School District. He was principal at Oak Mesa from 2014 to 2016, and more recently, the beloved principal at Lone Hill Middle School from 2016 to 2020. Throughout these years, Mr. Koss was very involved in many negotiations for his Bonita Unified School District teachers to ensure they were properly supported in transforming and teaching the young minds that passed through his schools. These are countless stories being recounted from parents, co-workers, and students that demonstrates he was a truly man of honor, love, and support. He was an advocate for what was just and true. Jason desired to truly change the world, leaving it a better place than he found it. Mr. Koss, a husband, father, principal at Lone Hill Middle School, mentor and friend to many, and a leader in the San Dimas community, tragically lost his courageous battle with cancer on July 17, 2020, leaving behind his wife, Carrie, children Maddie and Jace, as well as many beloved students, co-workers, and friends within the Bonita Unified community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Emmett Badar, Mayor Pro Tem Ryan A. Viana, Council members Dennis Bertone, John Ebner, and Eric Weber, do hereby express our deepest appreciation for Jason's extraordinary commitment and service to the residents and students of the Benita Unified School District. Signed, Mayor Emmett Badar.
You know, Mr. Mayor, I'm the liaison with Lone Hill Middle School, and I had the opportunity to meet him many times, and he was a true gentleman. And he was in law enforcement first, and then went into teaching, and he really loved the kids, and that's an excellent school, and it's because of people like him.
Thank you. And
I too had the opportunity to meet with Jason, and he did wonderful things for our community. He was very, very much a proponent of our Heroes program and helped with that when the Veterans Wall came to town. I think the Heroes program would definitely agree that he is a man that will be missed, and we support his family and anything that they need. Let us know, please. Oral communications. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Council on any items not in the agenda. Under the provisions of the Brown Act, the legislative body is prohibited from taking or engaging in discussions or any item not appearing on the posted agenda. However, your concerns may be referred to staff or set for discussion at a later date. If you desire to address the City Council on any item on this agenda other than the scheduled public hearing items, you may do so at this time or ask to be heard when the agenda item is considered. Comments on public hearing items will be considered when that item is scheduled for discussion. The public comment period is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes.
Mayor, the city clerk's office did receive 4 emails to be considered and entered into the record for the oral communications part of this meeting. None of them were items that are on the agenda tonight.
And those emails have been posted to the city's website and distributed to the council?
Yes,
is that right?
they have been posted on the website, and the council were copied on the web on the emails as well.
Thank you. We have 4 calls at this time. Go ahead.
Thank you for calling. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Hello, City Council and members of the audience. I would like to express my amazement with the drive-in movie event that took place last weekend. Though I didn't get to attend, neighbors and friends that attended said very positive things about it. Last council meeting, I'm glad that council members were engaging in dialogue during oral communications about accommodation ideas brought up by Councilmember Ebner and other ideas expressed about council chamber arrangements. The past couple of months has brought tensions high throughout the nation, as well as here in our small community. No one is here to blame for one thing. In times of passion, we can let that state of mind consume us to where we act in a manner that later we regret. I'm happy to see both Councilman Vienna and Ebner conversing and sharing ideas and understanding for each other last meeting. This is what I would like to see more often, and I believe the rest of the community would too. When we engage with each other, we can show the surrounding cities that San Dimas is indeed #1 in leadership and is innovative in ideas. We have a kick-ass Parks and Rec. We should definitely utilize Bill and Ted for our city's benefit. One councilman mentioned putting the phone booth from the movie by Circle K. But keep up the collaborative ideas, guys. A lot of people have taken notice, and let's put our city officially on the map. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for calling. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Hi, good evening, City Council. My name is Kurt Kranzer, and I'd just like to offer a couple of shout-outs. One to Matthew Lyons for spearheading reopening of the Benelli trails and allowing citizens in San Dimas to enjoy one of their great treasures. So good job, Matthew Lyons, and also to the city members who were responsible for that as well. So good job. And then another shout out to Crystal Jones-Bacon for proposing a proclamation for Principal Cost. Excuse me. As an educator, we don't get into it for fame and fortune. We just want to make a difference. And Principal Cost really made a difference in the lives of many of our students and the whole community. So good job. And that's all I got. Thank you guys. And you're doing a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you for calling. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Many of our students. So good job. Oh yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Kurt.
If I can have you mute your device.
Yes.
And you're on live now. Your 3 minutes starts now. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, thank you, City Council, and good evening. My name is Amanda, and I'm calling to thank a few community members that have been very active in some important matters involving our city. First, I would like to thank Crystal Jones-Bacon for helping bring the City Council's attention towards honoring Mr. Jason Koss, the late Lone Hill Middle School principal, and further drafting a proclamation in his honor. I would also like to thank others who were involved, including Samar Yassin, Councilmember Bertone, Deborah Black, and a few others. It is heartening to see our community come together and honor someone so deserving. Thank you, Council, for taking the time to further honor him tonight as well. I would also like to thank Mr. Matthew Lyons for being so actively engaged in the Benelli Park R11 walkway closure. Mr. Lyons begun and has actively collected over 800 signatures from residents affected by this closure in a petition that has further brought this matter to the awareness of the public. He has worked with bringing it to the City Council's attention as well as to the LA County's attention by reaching out to local officials and help get them to advocate to resolve this matter. Other locals such as Crystal Dimas and Patrick Jones have also played a role in bringing this to our attention. Along with thanking our community, I would also like to thank Council Members Bertone and Vienna for their work in advocating from the San Dimas city side to resolve this issue as well. So again, thank you, Crystal, for your kind-hearted work in making sure Mr. Koss was recognized. And thank you, Mr. Lyons, for your dedicated advocacy for our Benelli Park and recreation and our community. Also, thank you, Crystal, and good luck in your campaign this November. Thank you again, everyone. Good night.
Thank you very much. We have one additional call.
Thank you for calling. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Good evening, Council, and hello, Deborah. I just wanted to say a few words about what my thoughts are about Mr. Koss. You know, we all exist in our own way. Each one of us is different. But when you, as a council, as we, as a community, make a life for each other. And Mr. Koss gave his life to give many, many students a life. He's given his life for every one of us and his family. But I can tell you, even though we're all different, when we came together as individuals, as students, as co-workers, he created a life. All three of my kids were taught by him when he started at Shoal. My other grandchild was at Lone Hill, and it was very hard for them. But I have to say to every one of them, and even to you, that he gave life to many, many people. And it was a very educational and kind life. Thank you for your work and your time.
Thank you, sir. We have one additional caller.
Thank you for calling. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Good evening. On behalf of Lone Hill Middle School, I'd like to thank the members of the council for honoring our fearless leader, Mr. Jason Koss, this evening. Jason truly was a man of honor and a man of his word. A leader who led by his actions and not by the words that he spoke. His passing was a huge loss to our community. Many of the community is unaware that Jason grew up here. He attended Ramona Middle School and eventually graduated from Damien High School before becoming a sheriff and then committing his life to servicing others through education. Jason Koss believed in the power of every individual, every child, every adult, every person regardless of their age, race, or personal opinion. We can all take a lesson from Mr. Koss. I implore the members of our community and the members of the City Council to live in Jason's image, to treat one another with the type of respect that Jason treated each and every one of our community every single day. Jason Koss never once complained, never once asked for anything, but rather lived to serve. In these trying times, I think we can all look to live as Jason did, to honor him and to honor one another as community members in San Dimas. Lastly, I'd like to especially thank Mr. Dennis Bertone and Crystal Jones for helping to push the proclamation forward, and the City Council for their kind words. Together, I know that we can make our community a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm being told that we have no additional calls, but I was also told, mentioned to me during the last week, that because we have a buffer period, we're going to give it a few extra seconds to see if anybody else wants to call in. So probably about a minute or so. Nothing further coming in, we'll move forward. Okay, the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the City Council requests separate discussion.
Mr. Mayor, this is John, and I've been out of action for the past few days and did not have a chance to read the minutes for the, that are, I think, item 3B perhaps. And so I'm going to abstain from approving the minutes on the consent calendar.
Thank you, John.
And then I had two changes, which I've notified the city clerk regarding. It would be on item 3B, page 3, and 3B, page 4. It's just a simple typo, missing my name on those two following a title. So no material changes. So with that, I would move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we need a roll call.
Councilmember Bertone?
Yes.
Councilmember Ebner, I'm sorry, never mind. Councilmember Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Vienna?
Aye.
Mayor Bedar?
Aye.
Motion carries by 4-0 vote.
Mayor, sorry, City Clerk, I think Councilmember Ebner was only going to abstain on 3B.
Oh, the minutes.
So he can tally his vote for the other two?
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Councilmember Ebner?
Aye on 3A and 3C and abstain on 3B.
Okay.
Perfect.
That passes now by a 5-0 vote.
Thank you. Okay, public hearings. Adoption of a resolution settling citywide landscape parcel tax fiscal year 2020-2021.
Mayor, City Council, Hector Kissaman, Public Parks and Rec Director, will be presenting that public hearing.
Okay. Mr. Kisserman.
Good evening, Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, members of the public. Ordinance number 1086 requires that the voter-approved citywide landscape parcel tax be set annually by the council following a public hearing. Then a resolution is presented for council's consideration and adoption. In 1997, the voters of the city of San Dimas, by a 71% affirmative vote, approved ordinance number 1086, adopting a special parcel tax to be levied against properties in the city. Revenues collected from the tax are exclusively used to improve and maintain landscaping and trees and parkways, parks, and other public areas. The tax collected does not pay any personnel cost. It is simply for the services for maintaining these areas mentioned. Ordinance number 1086 requires that commencing with fiscal year 1999 to 2000, the special tax shall be set annually by the council following the public hearing. The rate of the tax, as established by Ordinance 1086, can be adjusted annually to reflect changes in the Consumer Price Index by an amount equal to increase in the CPI for the period extending from April 1st of the previous year through March 31st of the current year. This period accounts for a 3.1 increase. Staff is requesting that the council review the two options before you for this citywide landscape parcel tax for fiscal year 2020 through 2021. Option 1 is to maintain the landscape parcel tax at the same rate without adjustment. Option number 2 is that the tax be increased to a rate to reflect the change of the Consumer Price Index of 3.1%. In your staff report, you can see the differences between options 1 and 2 as they equate to these different property classifications. With option 1, the current estimated revenue is approximately $904,098, which would be the same as the adopted budget for 1920. The revenue estimated for option 2 is approximately $932,125 for an increase of $28,027. Even with the proposed option 2, the increase reflected in the parcel tax does not cover the cost for the citywide landscape maintenance. The additional costs, therefore, are borne by transfer of funds from the general fund. The citywide landscape parcel tax revenue and expense is reflected in Fund 8 of the city's budget. In addition to the assessment revenue, other revenue in Fund 8 includes reimbursement from the Bonita Unified School District for a share of the maintenance cost for San Dimas Sportsplex. That cost is shared by 50%, which includes landscape projects, anything related to the Splex, with the exclusion of the football field. Total estimated expenditures for Fund 8 in 2021 are $954,874,000 and includes the cost for the citywide contract landscape tree maintenance services, utilities, and landscape irrigation supplies. If option 1 is approved with no increase in the parcel tax, the revenue projected is $904,098 and will exceed, the expenditures will exceed by an estimated $50,000, almost $51,000, which again will need to be covered by a transfer from general funds, and have a zero balance projected for the end of the fiscal year. If option 2 is approved with that increase of 3.1, total revenue is projected at $932,125. Projected expenditures being $954 will exceed the revenues even with this proposed increase. The estimated $22,000, $22,749 difference will be covered through a required transfer of funds from the general fund, leaving zero fund balance projected for the end of the fiscal year. Concluding the public hearing, City Council may adopt a resolution to maintain the landscape parcel at what it was the previous year, or with a 3.1 consumer price index as indicated in option number 2. Staff recommends that an adoption of resolution setting citywide landscape parcel tax for fiscal year 2021 include the 3.1 consumer price index as indicated in option 2. That concludes my report, and I can answer any questions for you at this time.
Questions?
Hector, did the, I don't know, I haven't looked, but I know 3.1 for the CPI has been pretty standard, at least since I've been elected, for the consumer price index adjustment. Did the consumer price index this year, or has it taken into account the impact of the pandemic, the consumer price index at this point?
Your question is, has the 3.1 taken the impact of the pandemic into account?
Right.
That I am uncertain of. I know that last year we were at 2.7.
Right.
This year it's 3.1. And yes, to your question about maintaining relatively flat, on an average, this increase over 21 years has accounted to about $1.16 increase per year.
I'm sorry, $1.16?
Correct.
Thank you.
And do you know this is passed, I think, almost every year?
That is correct. In the past 21 years, there have only been 4 years when it has not passed. Those years are 1999 and 2000, 2002, and 2009, which is when we had that recession.
Thank you.
Dennis? John? John? Mr. Ebner?
The only question I really have is just a confirmation. That amount is per year, Hector, is that correct? That everybody pays?
The $1.16 mentioned?
Yeah, like for the single-family homes, it's right now $62.47. Is that?
That is correct. So,
okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Eric?
No, I think it's good.
Okay, I have no questions. We'll open up the public hearing. Thanks, Hector.
Mayor and council members, there was one public comment that did come in through email for this matter. It has been posted to the website. You all were copied on the email as well, and it will be entered into the permanent record.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing? Oral communications?
No callers yet.
Okay, as of right now, there are no callers. We're going to wait 1, maybe 2 minutes, giving anyone opportunity that may want to call in.
I think we need to get some Jeopardy music for the hold.
No callers.
1 minute? Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, go ahead, John.
Thank you for calling. You're live.
Hi, this is Esmeralda Salazar here in Villa Verde, and I just wanted a little clarification. Hector was speaking that there was a mention of the San Dimas recreation. Oh, I'm sorry, my dog. Sorry. Recreation. When he was speaking of the budget, can you have him repeat that? I didn't understand that. As far as it would be included in option 2, I think.
Hector, could you
Sorry, my
address that,
dog was
please?
loud.
The cost, or the option 2 is to have an increase of 3.1 in the CPI, which is for a total increase from the current or last year, which was an increase of $28,000. The cost or the expenditures that are reflected, these costs include maintenance for parks, medians, trees, utilities, water, all within the city of Walnut. And the cost for the Splex, which is a park that is shared through a joint use agreement with the school district, is 50% of that cost for that park.
Okay, so me as a homeowner, so let's put it in just layman's terms. So how much would my taxes go up if we chose the option 2?
If you are a single family residence, it would be $1.94.
I'm sorry?
$1.94.
So my taxes every year will be $1.94 every year?
That's the increase from where it's currently at. Your annual amount currently is $62.47.
So I already pay that.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So the increase.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The increase with option 2 would be $1.94, taking you to an amount of $64.41.
Okay. Okay, I really thank you for that, because for some reason, what I've been reading on social media, I thought that it was going to increase $62.94 more. And that's not correct.
No, ma'am, that's not correct.
Okay. All right, I thank you. Just to put it out there, I'm okay paying $1, how much was it, $1.94 more? If San Dimas stays beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any additional calls?
Thank you for calling. You're live.
Hi, I am calling in regards to the tax increase. Now, I know I was just listening to Esmeralda, who had asked about the sportsplex. If I'm not wrong, that actually is linked with the Parks and Rec, which we as residents still have to pay a fee in order to access. So our taxes are going to maintaining that. It's a fee-based item. You're also being paid from the school grants for their own maintenance that they have in order for that. And you still need more money. So I'm a little bit confused how this tax goes up every year. And every year it comes back to, oh, we need more. I mean, is there a way for us to somehow, work within the budget that you had the previous year? Why does our budget keep inflating every year to go up? Because right now we have a lot of residents that are struggling just to pay their mortgage, let alone, actually have an increase in taxes that is already going on at the federal and state level. Now our city is also taxing us more. So it's a little bit confusing.
Hector, would you like to address that, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the increase of 3.1 reflects an increase which is built into the landscape contractor, their annual cost for performing maintenance in these areas, as well as the tree maintenance contractor. One thing to note is that also water rates go up. Southern California Edison's electric bills go up, and so that is what constitutes the increase of 3.1. So because we have those automatic increases built into those two contracts I just mentioned, tree maintenance and landscape maintenance, that cost is then put onto the assessment.
Right. So I know as a resident, my water bill has gone up quite a bit in regards to the rates that the water company is charging. So I understand that. So in regards to that, is there a way for the city maybe in the next year at least to look into more ways to somehow either have landscaping that is more drought tolerant? I'm not understanding why we don't have more of that in the city. I mean, I like green lawns, they look nice, but they use an incredible amount of water, which is incredibly high. The budget is part of the minutes for this meeting. You can see the water bill that the city pays, which is huge. I get that, but I'm a little bit confused why every year the budget goes up and we're still not somehow figuring out how to operate within the previous year's budget.
To your point about the water, so just as a informational, for your information, the city council last year appropriated funding for the repairs or the replacement of irrigation controllers throughout the city. One of the things that is reflected in this year's budget, this fiscal year's budget as opposed to last year, is a reduction in cost of water. So last year we had an adopted budget of $375,000 for water. This year that cost or that expenditure is only $250,000. So we did drop the overall budget in this fund by over $150,000 from the previous year. So we are doing our share in trying to conserve water or to use the latest technology for water conservation. We hope that this investment that was put in by the city to purchase new controllers and to program new controllers to where they use weather-based programming will be then again reflected in this year's savings. So hopefully we can get a good handle on how we use water. Unfortunately, our other contracts, like I said, our contracts have a consumer price index built into them, so we would have to restructure those contracts to not have that in order to not see an increase there.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to raise that. For me as a resident, it's a little bit alarming that every year there's a tax that goes up that as a resident I have absolutely no control over. There's no vote for me to say whether it goes up or not. I'm just completely, taxed again and again and again every year. I mean, I know $2 doesn't seem like a lot, but, you know, just that idea that it keeps going up every year is a little bit alarming for me. So I'm glad to hear the city is doing a little bit in regards to water conservation. I'm hoping to see more of that. I know the senior center is putting in some succulents and stuff instead of that green lawn. That was really good to see. So I guess that was my only concern. So thank you so much for answering those questions.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Kisterman, as I reported before to this council, that Edison this year is asking for a 14.3% increase in their rates. So that's why our rates go up. And 14.3 is much higher than the Consumer Price Index, and that's what Edison is asking the Public Utilities Commission for.
That is correct. We've seen that increase in the past couple of years, passed on to the city as well from Southern California Edison.
Any additional calls? Yes, please.
Thank you for calling. You're live.
Mayor, City Council, and staff, it's Bob Olander. I just wonder if we could have Hector make a clarification. I've been watching his presentation, and I understand it, but he said the fee was being paid to Walnut, and there was no correction. I presume it is going to San Dimas, but it might be nice if we could get that corrected for the record.
That is correct. That was faux pas on my part. Previous employment.
Okay, well, somebody may be watching this later on and could catch that, and they could get confused. So I just wanted to make sure people knew the fee stayed in San Dimas and wasn't going somewhere else.
Yes, that is correct. City of San Dimas.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So everyone that is on the right page, same page, we're talking about the city of San Dimas. Thank you. Any additional calls? We'll give it another 30 seconds or so, and then we're going to move on. All right, let's move forward. Okay, I'll bring it back to the council for questions or statements.
I guess I can start. Very conflicted regarding this particular issue, given what's going on with the pandemic. You know, we did, as a council, as a city, we did afford our businesses an extension on their business licenses, and we have not yet increased the business license tax, and I don't think we're going to do that. I hope we don't. In that same regard, you know, those other years that this tax did not pass, each year had something associated with it. I think this is a pretty unprecedented time, and for that reason, I'm most favorable towards option one at this particular point, unless someone else can convince me otherwise. I do think that the dilemma is that voters in this city, and this last caller, you know, it's not often there's a caller that's complaining about increases in tax every year. Please call back for the business license tax discussion, because I'd love to have your comments associated with that too, for these small businesses and other businesses here. But to that end, you know, I think the dilemma here is that we went out for a sales tax in the last election and were unsuccessful. You know, the voters did not approve a sales tax increase here, which would have generated revenue. And, you know, in this case, the landscape issue, I guess my point is it all adds up. And that's kind of where I'm at with this, is that $1 something per household may not seem like a big deal, but I know people who are not working right now, who are home and are praying for whether it's unemployment or some sort of assistance. And to me, the least we could do, you know, I mean, literally the least at $1 something would be to pass on this. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, I would go with the first caller who said keep San Dimas beautiful, and go with the recommendation of staff that we increase it by 3.1%. The budget is tight. We know that law enforcement is going to increase, and our insurance increases, and it's $1.94 per household, and I think people can afford that to keep San Dimas green and beautiful. So
Dennis, was that a motion?
Is that a motion?
I will second Dennis's motion.
Okay, that's a motion then.
And my only comment is, I was going to quote that caller too. Good source that $1.94 extra is pretty good value to keep San Dimas beautiful. I mean, I think the city is looking better all the time, and we aren't going to be rolling back the $62.47 that a single-family house is already paying. So people will be paying that anyway. And I think the extra couple dollars, I think, is manageable for most people. The CPI, Ryan brought up a good point about that. The CPI, if that possibly may not be as high next year, is what I'm thinking. But anyway, I would support the motion to increase.
I'll just point out that, at least according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the CPI is 2.3. And my only other comment, understanding there's a motion on the table, is I don't profess to know what families can afford to pay right now when people are literally looking at foreclosures. So I hear your point about $1 something, but out of principle, I'm not going to profess to know what anybody can pay.
All right, and I realize we have a motion on the floor and a second, but I would like to see if Eric has something that he would like to say about this.
I'm kind of like mind with Mayor Pro Tem Viena. I think in particular right now we need to kind of pick our battles, and either way we're going to be drawing out of the general fund whether we pass the increase or not. So when we're talking a slight difference, and to some, again, maybe a huge relief. Maybe not that huge, but it may be a relief to not be under the gun for more money. And out of principle, I think it's a good time to exercise our option to keep it the same.
I just have one comment. You're absolutely right. $1.94 is not much for most families, probably for the majority of the families in this community. But the reality is that we are under different times, and that it's nothing all. It may not be much, but it's a symbol of saying we know and we care. And I truly believe that San Dimas is going to be still kept beautiful. We have a great Parks and Rec department. They're going to continue. The landscapers going to. I just don't believe that $1.94 is going to decrease the appearance of this community. And I think that to let the community know, as well as our retail people that are out there who are struggling right now, that maybe some type of symbol of saying, we hear you, we care, and so I won't be supporting this bill. I'll be looking at option number 2, or option number 1.
Maybe call the question, Mayor?
Yes. Okay, we have a motion on the floor?
Right.
Okay, and a second? All in favor?
And the motion is for increasing the rate by 3
Option number 2.
Option number 2. And we need to take a roll call.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bertone?
Yes.
Councilmember Ebner?
Yes.
Councilmember Weber?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Viena?
No.
Mayor Bedar?
No.
That motion fails by a 2 to 3 vote.
I would move approval of option number 1, which would be a resolution with no increase.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would say, as it relates to this particular motion, that I do think that there's money in the budget to cover the difference. And I don't know where other members of council might be with things like the urban forest, but I absolutely would be willing to look at some of the money that was appropriated for the AV improvements at the Plummer Building to be able to cover the difference and not move this tax onto the people for money that we've already collected for other things in the budget. So that's just a side note related to that.
Any additional comments?
None.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Bertone?
No.
Councilmember Ebner?
No.
Councilmember Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Viana?
Yes.
Mayor Bedar?
Yes.
That motion carries by a 3 to 2 vote.
Other business, goal line update?
Mayor, City Council, goal line update tonight is that work is primary centered, it continues to be centered at Gladstone Crossing. The contractor is working on utility and substructure in installation of the, utilities and substructure relocation. They're also working on the storm drain catch basin relocation. Work has begun on the traffic signal improvements and installation of the railroad gate foundations. They will also be installing irrigation sleeves. And that closure is still scheduled to be closed through September 30th. With that concludes my gold line update.
Mayor, if I could just add to that. So Mayor Bedar and I had the opportunity to go meet with the CEO of the Foothill Gold Line Construction Authority, Habib Balian, and Supervisor Catherine Barger in between the time of our meetings here since our last one. And I just wanted to say thank you to the Gold Line Construction Authority as well as Habib Balian and the supervisor who took the time to come out to the community. They were concerned for the impact the construction's having on the community. They did in fact go out and walk and put more notices in front of the different residences that live along the corridor of the area that's going to be impacted. And I think they're trying to do their part for the outreach so there's no surprises for anybody that may experience I think we're all going to experience the construction. But anyways, I just wanted to publicly say thank you to the Gold Line and their consideration for our city and our staff, and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments? I just want to say that, as we know, they're working at Gladstone, and that's going forward. But if you have driven around the city at each and every one of the intersections that are going to be impacted by this, there are actually people working there doing surveying, checking systems, checking the electrical systems. So they're just not centered at one location. So please be cautious when you're driving, because there are men out there working, and men and women out there working, that their safety should be paramount to us. But it's going to be impactful. Okay, when I talk with Habib and Catherine Barger, I was a little surprised that eventually somewhere down the line, San Dimas Avenue, just south of Bonita, is going to actually be closed sometime for as much as 3 months. So it's a period of time that we're going to all have to adjust. I don't anticipate that happening in the next 6 to 8 months, but it's going to come a time. So we all need to at least get mentally prepared for this adjustment, because it will be an adjustment. But at the end of the day, when the goal line's open and we have the bridge and things that are moving forward, I think we're all going to be pleased, and just hold our patience, please. Okay.
Mayor, just to add on to what you mentioned, the mid-quarter work did begin on August 3rd, and the first stretch is at Cataract and Walnut, and that'll continue out throughout the entire project. The tentative closure schedule is the Gladstone Euclid, December 2020 through March 2021, and the Bonita Cataract from March 2021 to September 2021. So those are tentative dates, but that is the closure schedule.
Do we have
coming up.
a tentative date for Bonita?
The Bonita Cataract, March of 2021 to September of 2021.
How about the Bonita San Dimas Avenue?
I
San
don't have
Dimas
that.
Avenue, it's coming in town, in and out of town, from the north to the south?
I don't have that date with me right this time.
Thank you. All right, hearing no additional questions of the goal line update, COVID-19 update?
Yes, Mayor, City Council, the city continues to update information on our website to support businesses and residents, and we continue to work with businesses on outdoor operation opportunities. We're also continuing to update our residential and family resource guide. In there, the city's emergency rental assistance program is noted and is available for income-eligible households experiencing financial hardship. Our resource guide has information about SD Cares, which continues to provide resources to residents. There's information on different banks and contacts to help with mortgage issues. There's information on utilities, Edison, the gas company savings programs and qualifications for those programs. Information on Golden State Water and Spectrum programs are also included. In addition, there's information on LA County Social Services, insurance companies, and various online learning sites that parents can take advantage of if in need. Other updates include that the COVID contact tracing program will, as a lot have heard, will be in place as long as the virus continues to spread. The county public health reports that the $20 gift card program that they've implemented has encouraged increased participation. Prior to offering the $20 gift card, about 38% of the people were participating in the investigation interview process. Since they implemented the $20, it's up to 62% are participating, and the public health has distributed about 5,000 gift cards. LA County announced the creation of COVID-19 rent relief program, which aims to assist low-income residents who have struggled to pay their rent and who are behind in rent payments. Those who are most in need will be targeted. The program will launch on August 17th and close August 31st. LA County the rent relief program will is operated by the LA County Development Authority and is funded by allocation of $100 million in CARES Act funding to assist between 8,000 and 9,000 renting households. The program is available to all residents of the county who qualify. W-9 participation agreements with property owners, and there's some other qualifications. If you want more information, you can visit rentrelief.lacda.org or dial 211. With that concludes my COVID update.
Any questions? I just like to comment, when COVID-19 came on our radar, one of the things that we didn't do out of the city was we weren't producing any weekly or daily press release on certain items. In fact, we weren't doing that on any item. But since that's happened, we instituted the daily press release. Brad and our PIO, Nicolette, have put this thing together, and I can't tell you how many people have commented about how much they look forward to them comments and reading them, and they're hoping that when COVID-19 disappears, is that we continue some version of that. And I'm not saying that's going to be a daily version, but something coming from the city each week, telling about the future, what's going on, the things around us. if it could be done daily, I realize that's a pretty healthy stretch, but the reality is people like it. They feel like they're connected. They feel like they're hearing things. And so I'm hoping that from this bad thing, we've learned something that maybe might be constructive in the future for our community.
Thank you for that, Mayor. And yeah, it is a lot of work to get that out on a daily basis, but we've heard loud and clear that the community really enjoys it and looks forward to that information. As soon as we get through this COVID pandemic, we'll have to reevaluate and make sure the information that's going out, if it's once a week, maybe not every single day if we weren't in a pandemic, but that's something we'll evaluate and continue.
Thank you.
Brad, who all contributes to that document?
That is our PIO, Nicolette, prepares that on a daily basis. She's monitoring the county update, the governor updates, all the Twitter feeds to produce a document that I review at the end of the day, and we get out on all different social media platforms. So Nicolette is really the one heading that up.
It's really broad, and I don't mean broad in a negative way. I mean it covers a lot of bases. She's definitely mining a lot of information. So I think I echo the mayor's comments. It's really well done.
Thank you for that, and I'll let her know for sure.
Please do. It just doesn't cover bad stuff. It covers some really good things that are going on in our community, and I think each and everyone on the council appreciates that information, and I'm hoping that each person has heard from people's comments on those things.
I will say the only negative thing I've heard is that when it posts onto social media, you cannot click the links. So you see it as a screenshot of the PDF or whatever it is she's sending, but you cannot click the hyperlink. So if there's any way to maybe in the comments of the post provide the hyperlinks, that probably would be helpful to folks who are clicking or tapping their phones, not getting very far. Thanks.
All right, any further? Okay, oral communications. Members of the audience, speakers are limited to 5 minutes or as many or may be determined by the chair. Okay, and there's no time limit. Okay. 5 minutes. There's a 5-minute time limit. I'm sorry. We can have as many people call as we want.
Thank you for calling. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Hello, Mayor Badar. I'm not clear about this oral communications thing. It seems I'm talking to a group of people there on the dais, which is higher than the rest of the community, and the staff members. And from my understanding, you can't say anything one way or the other. So I'm not too sure who I'm talking to. Is it possible for you to tell me who I'm talking to?
Yeah, you're talking to us all, but we just can't respond to you. I can have the city attorney give a little
that's right.
brief thing on this.
I think your speaker must be off or something.
Well, can you hear me now?
Your mic, or it's bad communication. But anyway.
That's right. This period is just a time for the public to call in and give comments to the city council on any items that involve city business. If it's not a time for a discussion or conversation or to answer questions, but if the council does want to take action on a certain item that the public brings up, then the council can ask staff to bring back an agenda item on that.
So I am speaking to the mayor, and it's up to the mayor to decide to ask staff to respond to my comments?
It's up to the city council, yes.
But anybody on the council could make that.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much. And I do want to thank the city attorney in responding to my questions. This is Mr. Gonzalez. Regarding the ethics, he was quite kind and reading my jibber jabber, and there was a couple things he didn't understand, or my words he didn't understand. And I gave some answers to him, and I don't agree with him. I just want to let him know that I'm going to be contacting Mr. Becerra, the Attorney General, about his responses. And specifically, the question was, I don't think a council member can cross the public counter and talk to a staff member. In other words, if Emmett or if Mr. Ryan or anybody else in the council is approached by someone who wants to make a development after submitting a plan to the planning department, the planning department is quite clear of what's approved, not approved. The person was not happy with what the planning department said, so they go talk to the city council person. Then that council person goes behind the public counter, talks to the director of that particular section, and all of a sudden it's okay. I think it's wrong. And I don't think, if you guys want to talk to anybody about anything, it has to go through the city manager. If Mr. Vienna is approached by somebody like Butters about a problem, he can't go to talk to a planner. He can't talk to anybody. He goes to the city manager, and the city manager talks to that director, and then comes back to the city manager, and the city manager talks to the person who has a concern. So anyway, I want to let you know I appreciate you answering. I am going to send a letter to Mr. Becerra, the Attorney General, and there was one other thing that I was going to mention to him also. But thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate it. Now I want to clarify one other item, if I could. In the last budget, did we or did we not close the rec center? I believe that we closed the rec center and that nobody can use it. I don't know if you can answer that or not.
At the end of the meeting, if the council wants to ask that to staff in their council comment period, then they may.
Okay, so am I getting close to my 5 minutes is what that was?
You have 1 minute left, sir.
Yeah, I think you said there was no time limit, but my understanding is that the rec center's closed. We couldn't afford to do any of the improvements on it, so you took it out of the budget. Now, on the next city meeting, you discussed the salary of all the staff, and they didn't get a deduction. They still got a raise if they have a certain amount of years in there. They will get a raise. And they'll probably negotiate for another raise. So I don't like the idea of you taking something off the budget and then keeping the same raises for the staff, although they may be limited and they may be negotiated. But to me, that's not a dog that I like. I'll tell you that right now. The other thing is that when Blaine was here, you approved a consent calendar that included almost $4,000 for a drone. $4,000 for a drone, 3,000 something. I tried to find out who got it, who's using it. They couldn't give me an answer. Some of the building inspectors in the front told me that they're using it to inspect roofs on certain houses when they're being built. Well, I'm a retired building inspector. No, we don't do that. It's very simple to see the connection by looking up in the attic. So I talked to Blaine about it because of the FAA requirements that say you cannot operate a drone within 5 feet of the airport. And here we are operating a drone.
Mr.
And
Gonzalez,
it also requires that the person who operates it is certified by the FAA. I talked to Blaine about it.
Okay.
Blaine says
Mr.
that
Gonzalez, your time is over.
We don't have to meet the FAA rules. I did speak with Mr. McKinnon about it.
Mr. Gonzalez, your time is over. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could ask Brad or maybe Hector to just answer the question as it related to the closure of the rec center. Can we just get some clarification on that?
Yes, Mayor and City Council. So the rec center was discussed in multiple of our budget presentations. Originally, Hector and I can have Mr. Kissiman elaborate, but there was some current concerns with maintenance that had to happen at that facility to make it safe and operable. So staff looked at the cost and looked at the programming that was there. We brought back a plan that eliminated the programming inside of the facility, but continued the aquatics program because that was a very popular program. It was outside of the facility that needed to have maintenance done to it. So what council approved in the budget was a plan to run our aquatics program, but not run our internal programs inside the facility. But if Hector has anything else that he'd like to add, please do.
So the recreation center was kept open as an aquatics facility only, and we are doing that currently, meeting all of the regulations and the restrictions put on by the LA County Health Department. So programs that were eliminated were the after-school program, the Teen Union, Teen City program that was held there after school, also classes that were held there such as yoga or Zumba. The other thing that was eliminated was use of the racquetball courts and the gymnasium. So in addition to that, the budget that had been proposed to do a lot of the repairs originally was close to $1 million in CIP, capital improvement projects, but rather what council decided to do based on the recommendations from staff was to take care of those things which were related to the aquatics program only. So we have money there available to repair the roof and the air conditioning units, some of the work that's related to the equipment that runs the facility, the pool, and currently it is being used and we've programmed it so that in the next 4 months that facility is actually going to be generating revenue from all the use from the aquatics programming that's going on.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Any additional calls?
Thank you for calling. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Hello, City Council and members of the audience. I'm really interested in the regional joint collaboration addressing homelessness with the cities of Laverne, Glendora, and Claremont, brought up by Council Member Weber during individual members' comments last council meeting, when Gary, Esmeralda, and myself, as well as many residents, took on Project Room Key. Our detractors called us many things, but homeless advocacy isn't something that we are against. What we were against was the county entering back channel agreements with the company without the residents of San Dimas' input, and then saying, oh, by the way, we're going to enter a project agreement and are just letting you know at the last minute. We want to be able to have a seat at the table and collaborate rather than rush in a project so we can reach a larger scope of the issue and come to a solution that works for everyone, including those who are vulnerable in the streets during the pandemic. I hope that this can be brought up by the council. This one is for everyone listening from our community, but this especially goes out to Patrick Jones, Mr. Petrowski, and Jan Bertolo. I sent an email out to our city council about the state legislature's piecemeal of bills that will affect our small bedroom community. I will name a few, but if you're interested in the slew of bills, you can reach out to me at 909-896-0110. This one is a very urgent one to oppose. It's Senator Atkins' SB 1120, subdivision's tentative maps. This bill will prevent single-family homes from being built and require cities to build duplexes instead. AB 1905, Housing and Homeless Fund Response Fund, would tax vacation homes and aid homeless. AB 3300, Homelessness Grant Funds, would allocate $2 billion for homelessness. This would come from a tax. And finally, SB 1079, residential property warehousing, would allow cities or counties to adopt ordinances to fine with an unspecified amount corporations and companies that leave residential buildings vacant for more than 90 days. The money will have to be used for homeless diversion, rent assistance, and other affordable housing purposes. It also permits cities or counties to take over the company's residential property if it's been vacant or at least over 90 days. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Thank you for calling. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Yes, this is Gary Enderley, president of the San Dimas Heroes, and I just wanted to reiterate what the mayor said earlier tonight. Jason Koss was very instrumental in the hosting of the Vietnam Wall, the Walnut Hills. His help and assistance made this event a successful event it was. He will be sorely missed. God bless you, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Thank you for calling. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Hi, so my name is Amanda again. I wanted to talk a little more in regards to the COVID-19 that was actually discussed in the last meeting on July 28th. I, as a mother of somebody who is high risk and as a friend to people who are high risk, I'm a little bit disappointed that our council members are personally choosing to mock the COVID response and to mock masks and the use of masks. And I would just like to publicly be on record to request that at least as our government officials on the local level, that would please take it a little bit more seriously. I'm not sure if you are aware, but throughout our communities, not just here in San Dimas, but also in Glendora, many people are starting to come out and reveal that they have lost their family members who live in our community to COVID-19. So this is not just some fake thing that's going around that's, a flu or whatever. This is actually impacting our residents, and it's a big deal. I'm really hoping that we can get over this hump and, stay home and, or at least stay home when you can. I know for a lot of people that's not necessarily possible, so I'm not saying everybody. But I know that there have been many times where council members have met with people outside of their households without masks, eating meals together. They ask that residents come and meet them over a meal, in which case you would not wear a mask. And I feel that these actions actually are escalating the problem in, continuing to pass along this virus. And our city really needs to come together so that, yes, we can get our kids back in school. I mean, I'm telling you as a parent, I'm going nuts with my kids. And I know lots of parents are upset with having to have their kids at home with distant learning. I'm really hoping that as we enter winter, we can be over this. But, it looks like right now we have to come together as a community to support each other, to support our small businesses any way we can safely, and to keep our small business owners and their employees safe in the meantime as well. And that's going to take us as a community to do that. So when I'm seeing that our community members are posting selfies mocking, don't worry, we wore a mask, or posting photos of them out with people outside of their household or going on vacation in hotspot areas and then coming back and having a meeting almost immediately afterwards with other council members. It's a little bit disturbing. So also in regards to Mr. Baton, I'm sorry to say it, but when the partition idea was brought up, you said you wouldn't be able to hear people, and I understand that as a concern. but you then removed your mask completely in order to emphasize it. And that in itself proves why partitions would be important in this case. So if you're going to hold meetings in person, great, we can see you, at work, but keep each other safe and keep our community safe so that we can move along with this. That's all I have to say, but I just wanted to touch on the COVID-19. It is something serious. It's something that as a community we have to come together and support each other in this, for our mental health, for our support of each other so that we can grow as a community and move past this. And that's it. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, ma'am. Shows we have one additional call.
Thank you for calling. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Thank you. Evening, Mayor and City Council. This is Janine Brummer, and I tried calling in the last City Council meeting in regards to the Pioneer Square initiative that you guys were taking a look at, and I just wanted to follow up and see if you guys are able to give us any update as to what happened and where we stand on that. One thing that I was going to mention when I was planning on calling in at the last meeting was that is something that my family and I would completely relish in the idea of possibly even looking at business opportunities and investing not only our hard-earned money with hopefully some wonderful restaurants and other retail, but also potentially becoming one of the San Dimas local businesses. So I give away the rest of my time, but hopefully I can hear a little bit more about that. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. No additional calls. We'll give it about a minute and a half. There appears to be no additional calls. We'll move on. The city manager, any additional comments?
Yeah, Mayor and City Council, the city is currently accepting applications for the Housing Element Update Subcommittee. The application period will be open until August 21st, 2020. We are looking for approximately 6 members to volunteer and be an important part of the city's 6 housing element cycle. The subcommittee will provide community members with an opportunity to participate and provide their input, feedback regarding various housing element issues and topics. They'll assist in educating the public on state-mandated housing element requirements and processes and encourage public participation throughout the process. And they can also serve as a conduit of information between the community and the city regarding the housing element update. The subcommittee applications and the housing element information is available on the website, or you can call City Hall and we will direct you to the application process. And with that, that's all I have, Mayor and City Council.
Mr. City Attorney?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Council members' reports on meetings attended at the expense of the local agency. Hearing none. John?
Nothing further, thanks.
Thank you. Individual members' comments. John, since you're the furthest away, go ahead.
I have nothing to comment on, thank you.
Thank you, John. Dennis?
Well, it was mentioned before about Benelli Park and a trail that had a problem. There are many trails in Benelli Park, and they're well used, and they're very popular. And the most popular one A section of it happens to run through the RV park. There's a recreational vehicle park in Benelli Park, and it's a private concessionaire. The property is owned by the county, but a private concessionaire runs it. And for years, this trail has been open, which goes through the RV park, and this concessionaire decided to close it. And so people either weren't able to complete their hike, either the beginning or the end, depending where they started. The city complained to the county, and we got Supervisor Barger involved in it. And I know that Council Member Brian Vienna was well involved in this, and so was John Ebner, and some people from Laverne were also involved. And they set up a conference call, which Mr. Vienna participated in, I participated in, and Brian McKinney, our city manager, participated in, and the county was involved in this, and also the people from Laverne. And the people from the county were Norma Garcia, who was the director of parks, and also Kevin Reagan, the deputy director. And what they said was that the county listened to us, and they were going to build what is called a bypass trail around the RV park, which people tell me is even better than the one that's in the RV park. And we have to thank the supervisor for her help in this, because I don't think it could have been done without her support. And the best part of this at all is that the owner of the RV park has agreed to allow people to use his trail until the bypass trail is built. So that should be open as of yesterday, I believe. And I think we owe the supervisor a letter of gratitude, and also Norma Garcia, who is the director of Parks and Recreation, for the completely turned the situation, which was very bad, around and made it into something good. And Ryan may have something else to say about this later. Other stuff is that the city of San Dimas, to change the subject, is involved in the Federal CARES Act. And what that is that if you live in San Dimas and you're having trouble with your rent, and you can apply to the city to help pay your rent up to $500 for 3 months. And the person to ask about whether you're eligible or not is you call the city hall and ask for Ann Garcia. And we had $83,000 to help people with, and we've helped 13 people so far. The other thing is that I would like from the staff, if possible, a report on Lucabella Restaurant at the Walker House. What's happening with that, and are they going to open, and if not, why? And that's it.
Thank you, Dennis. Eric?
So, quick thing about the drive-in movie series. I know that that was well received in the community. I was able to attend 2 nights, and with my family and friends, and all of us were impressed with the quality of it, and really enjoyed ourselves. I received nothing but positive feedback out of that, and I think everybody in the community, me included, is kind of excited to see if we can keep that going periodically, maybe, as a way for people to safely get out and enjoy a movie. I think it was well needed for a lot of people. So thank you to our Parks and Rec department. That was a fantastic job. Our Chamber of Commerce, San Dimas deputies, local business partners that helped out, and I know I'm forgetting somebody because there was a lot of stakeholders in that, but thank you very much. I think it was definitely well received. On Mr. Koss, I never had the honor of meeting Mr. Koss, but just from everything that I've seen since his passing, obviously it's a palpable loss for the community, and that I think is a testament to his leadership and his character. And I want to thank both Mr. Koss and his family for his leadership and the mark that he's obviously left in the community. And we were very lucky to have him, it seems.
Thank you. Ryan?
All right, I too want to echo Eric's comments with regards to Mr. Koss. The first opportunity I had to interact with him was with the Wall That Heals with San Dimas Heroes, and I heard nothing but people singing his praises with his exemplary leadership. His service to this community I don't think will soon be forgotten, and I'm very grateful for that, and I know he is sincerely missed from everybody that I've spoken to. With regards to the drive-in, I did have the opportunity to attend. I stopped by there all 3 nights and had my niece and nephew with me on Friday night for the Sandlot. Parks and Recreation, Brad, everybody that was involved in that. I think every department got to play in that a little bit with all the different challenges to accommodate that space and make it work. I can't say enough. I haven't heard one complaint other than one of the screens was not HD, as some people said, but that issue got resolved, I think, on Saturday with a setting tweak. And so bottom line is, congratulations to all of you here. You did a really good job. The city, the community is just so grateful, and I think it was fantastic. To that end, the sheriff's station, it was great seeing our volunteers and the explorers and everyone else out. It's kind of a funny thing for those of you that don't know. Sadly, our volunteer recognition dinner didn't happen this year, but if it had, you would have heard about the thousands and thousands of hours that these people donate to our community. And we actually realize a significant cost savings because of their volunteerism, whether it's our reserves or our mountain rescue team or, our explorers even. So, it's fascinating during this time to see how all of those things contribute to the place we know as San Dimas. So it was fantastic. And I can't tell you how excited I saw Mr. Winman and just other folks that were out there, our VOPs, that were just happy to be out serving this community. And I can't say enough about those people that stepped up and answered the call. So thank you. To that end, I also want to thank everybody that was on the 60th birthday celebration committee, as well as the chamber, the stakeholders, and our businesses. If you followed that, as I think many people did, many of the businesses offered discounts throughout the week celebrating the city's birthday, and just really kind of got involved. The San Dimas Cake Company also, working with the city, was able to provide some pretty cool intermission snacks. So I think it was s'mores on Friday, and then Saturday, I don't know what Saturday was.
Dark chocolate.
Oh yeah, the brownies, the Doc brownies, which was pretty cool. And so thank you so much to everyone for that. So today there was a protest here at City Hall. And I just wanted to take a moment to talk about that. A peaceful, truly peaceful protest. It was members of the barbershop and hair salon community who were out advocating for opening, to be frank. And, what's interesting is, and I just want to say to those folks that I hear you 100%. I want everyone to know that the city has done literally everything legally possible to be able to support this industry and those businesses. I personally reached out to our state senator, our supervisor, the governor, and another assembly member from up north even who is championing this cause. Our city manager, working with different entities, even with the county to a certain degree, did everything we could to be able to allow people to cut hair and provide hair salon and barbershop services outdoors. I understand there's folks that think it's not enough, and I do hear you, and I understand that. I just want everyone to know, at least from our jurisdiction level, we've done everything we could as it relates to this effort. I really hope you continue to advocate both to the county, to the health officer, as well as to our state senator, Anthony Portantino, our assembly member, Chris Holden. Let them hear your voices and your concerns so that they push the governor and the governor to help get you reopened and to get people the services that they want. And not just this industry, but I think all of our industries. I think a lot of people do want to return to work safely, abiding by all of the respective guidelines for the respective industries that the health departments have pushed out. With that, I would like just to circle back on the city birthday thing, on the drive-in thing, I don't know, Eric, I know you mentioned maybe looking into having that be an ongoing thing. I learned over the weekend that we purchased that equipment that was used, and I think that's probably exciting news for members of the community that we actually did purchase the screens and everything else that kind of went with it, except for the generators, from what I understand. So, Eric, if you're interested in it, I'd love to hear maybe an after-action report on this, how many people attended, what the attendance was, what the sellout was, any feedback that we've received, and then perhaps a plan to maybe look at expanding this given the circumstance we're in and the fact that we have the equipment.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Cool. So maybe we could agendize that and talk about it. Another thing is if we could come up with, I'm just going to call it Tax 101, like a tax class. It probably could just be a staff report maybe, or maybe even just something, a general infographic maybe that we can give to the community. But I think, taxes are going to be probably, as we get into the recovery stage of COVID-19 and people are looking at what's going on, a lot of people are watching their money and they're watching things like this. This landscape tax was a seemingly small tax, but I think people need to understand where their taxes come from and then where they go. And it would be great if we had something like simple that people could understand. Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking sales tax and then transit occupancy tax and all these other things, how revenue comes into the city, and then our main sources anyways, and then how it trickles out so that people understand generally how it is. And I don't know, depending on how crazy you get, if you could look at the percentages of that tax revenue that we put where. But I mean in like some sexy infographic. I'm not talking some like really boring thing that nobody's going to read, like the CAFR or something like that. I'm talking about something that's just very plain Jane people can get, right? So that would be cool. As it relates to Benelli, I want to thank Councilmember Bertone, as well as Mr. Patrick Jones. On May 24th, as I shared in a statement publicly before this council meeting, on May 24th, Mr. Patrick Jones gave me a call and said, hey, this path is closed. And, someone he knows uses that path pretty regularly. And so I heard from him and a couple other members of the community shortly thereafter and went ahead and made a call over to the Supervisor Barger's office and was put in touch with Kevin Reagan from Parks and Recreation, and we started having a conversation. Was actually able to get him to come out. He took a look at what was going on and even proposed an alternate path to him, which is almost consistent with what it looks like the bypass potentially is going to be. So government takes time, and so it wasn't before long during the time it was taking for this to be researched and vetted out, and then discussions to go with the operator or concessionaire, which had transitioned over 30 years. The same operator was there, and then that changed not too long ago. So it changed hands, as Councilmember Bertone laid out. Through some advocacy, I want to thank Mr. Matt Lyons. He got involved, raised awareness, and got members from other cities involved and brought this issue to the consciousness of other people as well, on top of the efforts of Mr. Jones. And subsequently, yesterday we had this meeting. So what I'm just going to add to what Councilmember Bertone shared is the county asked that all the cities have the same messaging. And just a point about that is that, there's a lot of information sources out there, but you should really rely on trusted sources. So, look at the city's website for information. There's information that members of the council received from some of these sources here, and they push that out. So this information was not put out yesterday in agreement by the members who were on that call, largely so that the Parks and Recreation from the county could send us the proper information so that all members of the community were on the same page about this. Point number one is temporary trail access until further notice. Number two is you are entering and exiting the RV park. Access is strictly to the ingress and egress of Benelli Park. Littering, loitering, vandalism, or use of RV park amenities is prohibited. Please keep the noise to a minimum before the hours of 8 a.m. And the department reserves the right to close access if the rules are not observed. So I ask anybody that walks that area to please be respectful of the folks that are the tenants there in the park. Understand that there probably is going to be a more permanent fence installed to that area. So if you see that activity, the operator, it was shared with us that the operator will be installing a fence, and there may be hours of operation, potentially between the hours of 8 a.m. and sunset in the future. But for now, it is temporarily opened and available as of yesterday. So that's a big win for everyone here in the community, and I thank everybody that was involved in that. And I sincerely thank Norma Garcia. I echo Councilmember Bertone's comments, Brad, and I think we should send a letter of gratitude both to Parks and Recreation, Kevin Regan, and Supervisor Barger as well for all of their support in this. And the last thing here is I would be interested in the legislation. I think you wrote down those different pieces of legislation the caller shared. If we could just get some information regarding those and any potential positions, I'd be appreciative. And lastly, I'm done, Emmett. If you didn't spend so much time waiting for 2 more minutes, we'd almost be there. But anyways, last thing is, it's Shark Week, and so I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to everyone that is watching Shark Week and our fellow divers here and ocean enthusiasts. You know, shark conservation is a pretty big deal. If you need some information or you're interested in shark conservation after watching Shark Week or being so intrigued, check out Shark Angels. It's a nonprofit that deals with shark conservation as well as Project Aware. Those are 2 organizations for which I'm familiar with, and they do have some pretty cool efforts as it relates to shark conservation. And in an upcoming meeting, I'll probably be asking council to consider a position regarding some legislation coming up related to conservation. With that being said, thank you.
Thank you. You know, I too went up to the drive-in theater all 3 nights. I was surprised at the amount of people the amount of interest that the community had. They were thankful. I think all of the people who volunteered and put this thing together all need to be commended. That's the Parks and Rec staff, volunteers from the Chamber of Commerce and deputies, all the volunteer programs that were guys who were out there. The beauty of being the last one to speak, everybody else has said everything else that needed to be said or they wanted to say. So, but I just want to say, just one more additional thing is to say, the birthday barbecue, the 60th birthday barbecue, it normally is 1 day. 1 day we have a barbecue and we enjoy food, have some entertainment and everything. But from the help with the Parks and Rec and Chamber of Commerce, we had 7 days of birthday barbecue. So, you know, sometimes, you know, youngsters like to have more than 1 birthday, so they have it like 30 days. They have a birthday every day. Parents take them out and stuff. We had 7 days, and I think we all enjoyed it. I think we found out what we could do as a community under these circumstances. And the bottom line to it is we have a good community, and I think we all know it. And it comes down to everybody working together. And with that, we'll go into closed session, the successor agency and the City Council closed session conference with a real property and negotiator, property at 299 East Foothill Boulevard and portions of Horse Thief Canyon. City negotiators, Brad McKinney, interim city manager, city attorney. Okay, the next thing will be a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure, one case relating to the terms of the July 6th hosted Global Services Agreement. Okay, with that, we'll adjourn, and we'll meet in 10 minutes for closed session.
The City Council met in closed session tonight to discuss the two items on the closed session agenda, one real property negotiations and one anticipated litigation. The council gave direction to staff on both those items, but no reportable action was taken. The meeting is adjourned.
Pandemic.